Hello, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Cowboy Counselor. And I am here once again with Jamie Rouse. And what we're going to be talking about today is one of the most quickly growing dynamics in our country is women hunters. And one of the things that's important about this, if we're going to protect the culture of hunting, it's important to get women and young people in general re-involved with that culture. So I would like to start out just asking Jamie a couple of questions of what started you down this path of hunting? What originally interested you in this?
I wish I had a straight answer for that, but I do not. I've been thinking about it all week of why I started hunting. And the best thing that I could come up with is God just put it on my heart at the time He did. When um, I was younger, I would go hunting with you when I was like in middle school, elementary school, not really so much in high school, but I mean, it was fun, but it wasn't something I was like so interested in and wanted to keep going. But it was a lot of walking and it was cold, and I'd
Mm-hmm.
rather be at home or playing basketball or something.
Yeah, I want to showcase a little bit of your background. So you went to college on a basketball scholarship. You were a very serious high school athlete. And I can remember a few things that you quit family rodeo partially at my urging, just so you wouldn't get injured doing that, so you would be freed up to play basketball, do the things that you loved.
Mm-hmm.
I never dreamed that you would come back as a young adult and approach me and tell me that you wanted to hunt. And so it wasn't like you went hunting as a kid, but you were not a hunter at that point.
No.
You were more like an unwilling participant
Yeah,
on
pretty
the
much.
forced marches. So what was the learning curve like for you? Were you surprised at how much there was to learn?
Yes. And I'm still like surprised at how much there is to learn. Like, I'm still learning. But what makes it easier for me is that I have you there along with me. So, I mean, I can just go out and hunt and learn as I do it, in which a lot of people can do that, but there is a big learning curve. It's not just something that you can say, oh, I want to go hunting and go do it the next day. Like, you need to have licenses, you need to have the right gun, you need to know what you're going to do with the animal when you're done with it if you shoot something. And um, fortunately for me, I've had you to teach me all of that. So, somebody brand new getting into it, I can see the learning curve being tremendous. But I mean, it's not unmanageable. It's just going out and doing it and learning and going out again and still learning. Like, I don't know. Are you still learning as you're going out, or do you
Yeah.
still do you know everything?
I learned a lot from you.
Yeah.
So that begs the next question. What barriers did you face? And not to get all gender biased about it, but specifically as a woman, what barriers do you think you faced as a new woman hunter?
Yes. So I think the biggest thing for me is like my husband Clay. If he goes out and shoots a deer, he can just drag it back to the truck and then figure out what to do with it, call somebody. But there is no way I'm going to be dragging a deer. Like, just the strength alone is a big, I don't, it's not a setback, a barrier, I guess. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you can work through that. I mean, you can work out, you can do all this stuff. But I think that is one of the things that is harder for women hunters, is that you just don't have the strength. You have to work towards it a little bit harder. But it's not impossible. It's not that big of a deal. Some other things is finding women hunting clothes. I
I knew this was going to come up. Yeah.
It's a little bit of a
I've,
sore
I've,
subject.
I've heard this story a few times.
So I needed some hunting pants. And so we went to Shields because they were 40% off on, I can't even remember what brand it was. But we go to Shields and I'm looking around and I'm like, where, like, I cannot find where it says 40% off. It says 25% off, but that's not good enough for me. So I asked somebody that was working. He goes, "Oh yeah, that's on the mints." And I was like, "No, your ad just says this brand is 40% off." And he's like, "Yeah, in the mints." And I'm like, "Well, that's not what your advertising says." So, like, advertisement is geared towards men's stuff. Like Shield sends out their books and it's like 10 pages long of men's clothing, and you might get 1 or 2 items that are women's. And so I did try on the women's clothing, but I feel like they were going more towards fashion than warmth. And I am all about warmth, so I did not get it.
Okay. So I heard you bring up God as part of your journey. How have you tied in your spirituality and your faith into hunting and also mental health? Those two things.
Okay, so I think when I was about like 16 or 17, I thought I wanted to get into hunting, and I told you that. And so we went out and shot some rabbits. And this was like one of those core memories because I didn't.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, it scarred me for life. I didn't know rabbits screamed when they got hit. And so that I remember we got one and it did that. And I just walked into the garage and just started bawling. It's making me emotional now. And so I think that was one of the things that I realized I was not ready for hunting. I was not mature enough. I needed a reason to be out there. And so I think as I grew up and matured, I found my reason that hunting is not just for fun. It's for getting meat. Like it has to have a purpose for me. And I think that God showed me that when I was older, that it needed to have a purpose. You shouldn't just go out and just start killing things to kill things. And so that really, I think that's why it took me later in life to get into hunting, is because I needed a reason to do it.
And that reason is what?
Well, for me, for meat. So go out and shoot it for meat. Because in my opinion, like if there is no hunting, the deer are going to be on the roads getting hit by cars. So, and then they're going to be most likely wasted. Like they're just going to sit on the side of the road and rot. And so the purpose is, if I go out and shoot one, then that animal is serving a purpose after its death, to where it will feed my family and our family. And yeah.
So how is the mental health aspect of hunting applicable to you?
I like going out and hunting and just being in nature, and I don't know, it's just like a calming, just go out and do something that, I don't know, it creates a lot. You have a lot of thoughts going through your head while you're hunting. Honestly, for me, when I'm hunting, I'll be singing the same song that I heard on the radio all day long. So
did not know this.
No. And it's really annoying, but I do it. But just trying to like work through my thoughts, and just, you're doing something, but you're also working a lot through your head, what's ever going on in there.
Okay.
So
what advice would you have to women hunters specifically, or maybe anybody that wants to start hunting of any age? Because we've seen, Jamie and I are both involved in a ministry at church that helps with brand new hunters. So we had a couple of brand new hunters in the last year that were either in their late 40s or 50s.
My advice for them is to go out and find help, like the Colorado Division of Wildlife. I don't know if that's what it's called, but they have programs that I've seen that help new hunters get into hunting. I mean, watch YouTube videos, like just get into the culture of it. And it will be scary, and you will not know everything the first time you go out, but you will learn so much just going out.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe go out for just a scouting trip, just so you can see what walking around the woods looking for animals looks like,
Hmm.
or whatever you're hunting. Go out and without a gun and just walk around and pretend that you're hunting.
Hmm.
And then when it's actually time for your season, then take out your gun and then yeah.
So familiarize yourself with your equipment. So with
Yeah.
that being said, can you show us a couple of the tools of the trade that you've bought along with you?
So this is my gun that I use for deer hunting. It's a 30-30. It's a good, I think it's a good size for me because it's on the, I'd say it's on the lighter side. It's
Hmm.
a smaller caliber. So yeah, you wouldn't.
It's
I
a
don't know if
little
you've seen
less
that.
potent. 30-30 is a
Yeah.
very traditional cartridge, and I hunt with 30-30 a lot. I like it. I'm a very close-up shooter, and for me, I am very much what I would call a method hunter. The method of hunting has actually surpassed the actual take of game because I've been hunting that long. So I may choose to hunt with a longbow or open-sighted guns for that reason because I like the method. So 30-30 is an older cartridge, but still very effective. So it's not that it's smaller in caliber. It's the same bore size as 30-06, 300, any of the bigger ones. It just has a little bit less potency behind it. So especially for a kid or a woman hunter, recoil is going to be a little less. But it's definitely going to bring in your range. Your shots need to be closer, probably under 200 yards, way under 200.
Yeah, as a new hunter, I don't think you should be shooting at anything past 200 yards.
Maybe not.
Yeah, when you see that, it's a little bit.
So tell me
Sort of.
about what's the deal with the scope on it? Is that an advantage? Is
Oh,
it?
it's like I don't know anything about it.
Well, it was my scope, but that's not what I was driving at.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
I
is
want
a
it back.
scope. So yes and no. I'm kind of torn between the scope. I still use it because I'm afraid to not have it on there. But growing up, I shot open sights all the time. I still shoot open sights, like 22s, just going out and shooting. And so that's what I'm really used to. But I will be honest, I am a little scared to go deer hunting open sights.
Why is that?
I think it's just like like maybe a society thing. Like everybody uses scopes. So I feel like that if I don't use a scope, then I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I need it. It makes me a little bit more comfortable, although I feel like I could do it open sights and I would be fine. It's nice. I use this as my binoculars, so I don't carry binoculars around when I'm hunting. I just use my scope. So that's one less thing you have to carry.
One caveat I would offer is without a cartridge in the chamber. So,
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And let's see. Oh, the scope. I guess what I'm scared about with keeping the scope on is when we see animals at close range. It is so hard for me to find the animal in the scope because it is so close. And then having an animal at close range, I mean,
50 yards or less.
Yeah, you kind of have to work fast. They might be on the move. You got to find them. And with open sights, you just be able to pull it up and you'd be able to see. But with the scope, we kind of have to look around and find it. So that's kind of why I'm like, I don't want the scope on there, but I'm still scared to take it off.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the knife that you bought with you and why knives are important.
Yeah, so this is the knife that I have. My dad made the sheath and the knife.
And a lot of people that know me from my blacksmithing videos. That is my background.
So this is a shed that we found while we were hunting. And so he made me a knife with it. This knife is really sturdy. Like it's not gonna bend or anything. Like some of the razor blade knives that you find. So if you were to take one knife with you, like that's all you're gonna bring, this would probably be a good size because I mean you can skin with it, you can get around the bones with it. It's pretty thin. I don't know if you can see the thickness of it, but yeah, you can get through pretty much anything with it. I'd say that it is the only other knife that I carry with me is just a little razor blade knife, but that's not going to get you through an entire animal. You'd
Mhm.
need something more sturdy. And then the most important thing about bringing a knife is bringing a sharpener, because when
Yeah,
you're
true that.
cutting through a deer, you're going to dull up your knife pretty
Yeah.
fast, or just cleaning it off from the fat that's on there.
Mhm.
You go through stop and sharpen a lot.
That's one of the biggest weaknesses I see of a lot of people get into hunting is they don't know how to sharpen a knife. And if you are quartering a big game animal, boning it out on the hill, her husband actually shot a big mule deer buck, and between the three of us, we packed it out in chunks. And it still seemed like a chore. I don't. Maybe it's just because I'm getting old,
It's big.
but all three of us with good knives, multiple knives, and knowing how to sharpen really well, it's still, I'm guessing we had that thing apart in an hour and a half in the
Yeah.
packs by the time it was all said and done. I do have a knife sharpening video as part of my series, but there's tons of information out there. Now, as far as knives go in particular, I am a knife maker, and a lot of people ask me if I will make them a custom knife for hunting. And the very first thing I'll ask them is why. It was like, well, surely it's better than another knife. It's like, not necessarily. Any knife that's made out of pretty good quality steel, Walmart brand, whatever, is going to be fine. You do not need $100 knife or a $200 knife. $20 knife is fine. Actually, I didn't think of it. This pocket knife I paid $11 for more than 20 years ago. It's just a factory knife, and I bet this has been through in between 30 and 50 big game animals, at least helping out, and it's fine. So once again, this was an $11 knife. All right. I'm off of that rabbit trail. Do you have anything else that you want to add? Just things that would be helpful to new hunters, things about that are encouraging people that maybe they want to do this, but they're like, oh, I can't, it's too much or it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
How would you, what advice would you give them?
I would say that, I mean, starting anything new is going to be scary. So
Mm-hmm.
you just kind of have to find your why. Like, why, if it's deer hunting, why do you want to go out and shoot a deer? Because I feel like that was my biggest thing, is I had to have a why to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some friends tell me that they've gone out hunting, and like they tell me their story. They're like, oh yeah, like my dad just takes me out and he tells me to shoot that one and I shoot it, and then they take care of it and do all that stuff. And to me, that's not hunting. That's not the culture of hunting.
That also ain't happening. So
Yeah, my dad wouldn't do that.
you shoot one, you have to help.
Yeah.
If not, do most of the work,
Yes.
which he does.
Yeah. Yes. Growing up with two older brothers and a dad, I can get away with not doing a lot. But
Not
this
no more.
was this was one of those things where I was like, I have to know how to do it myself so that I can do it myself without help if I needed to. And so, yeah, having a why of why you're going to shoot an animal. Is it for me? Is it to, I don't know, whatever your why is. Next, I would say don't go out and buy all the fancy hunting gear.
Mm-hmm.
It is so dang expensive. You don't need Sitka. You don't need QU. If
I don't know what either of those two things
Yeah.
are. So
you can go buy snow pants from Walmart or Goodwill, or use what you have in your closet if it's going to be cold. Most of the time when we're walking around, jeans are plenty. Yeah, don't go out and buy all the expensive stuff. You ask for help all the time. Like, watch YouTube videos, look up online what resources there are. So is it Colorado Division of Wildlife?
Yeah.
Is that what helps? Okay.
Yeah.
I know that they offer
DOW.
Yeah.
That's what we often refer to it as.
Okay.
Yeah.
They offer like classes. I think for children they offer to like take you out and guide hunts. I think I've seen that on there. So just look around at resources. You're not alone. There's going to be other people wanting to do the same thing. Next, I would say find like a place that's not like if you're about to go hunting, I wouldn't go to like the hardest terrain or anything. There are animals everywhere. If you are looking to just get an animal, find an easy place to hike around and manage because there's going to be animals. If you are, I don't want to say skilled enough to find them because you will learn that skill as you go. The first time I went hunting, I couldn't find animals very well, and now I spot them from very far away. I take pride in that too. I'm good at spotting animals.
Yes, she is. Yeah.
So that's something you'll learn, but yeah, you don't have to go to this one place that's 5 miles hike back in and you have to spend the night. Like you will see a deer driving in there, I swear.
And I think as we move forward, I can see this is going to be a topic that it has so many moving parts to it. Another one would be processing game. We cut up all of our own meat. I do canning. We grind meat into burger, and that's all its own area. You can take an animal into the processor if you can still find one and get them processed. We've just never done that, and Jamie is very skilled. And so that might be something that we can demonstrate in the future is how to cut up an animal and package it and get it in the freezer or have it canned. So another aspect would be wilderness survival. I never step into the woods without survival gear, and that means that I have a pack just devoted to that. So it has fire making equipment, emergency blanket. There's a whole list of things in there that has to go with me every time I go out. Because I might walk, I still hunt alone quite a bit. I might walk 500 yards into the woods, fall in a deadfall and break my leg. And I'm probably in about as bad a situation if I was 4 miles back in, depending on if there's anybody else around. If it's cold out, I need to have a plan. And I take that fairly seriously, but it's also not complicated. So that is also something we may talk about a little bit in the future. So I have one more question for you, and this is totally random. But if there was one phrase, a line out of a song, a poem, or anything that would just kind of describe your hunting experience, what would it be? Go.
Well, the phrase that always comes to mind doesn't even apply to hunting, but I mean, it does. It's kind of like my life motto is "It happens" from Forrest Gump. I can't even tell you where at in the movie it is, but it's just like it happens.
When he's jogging and he steps in the poop or
okay,
whatever.
I don't even know. I just know it's from Forrest Gump. It happens.
Yeah.
And you just keep going. You roll with it.
All right. I'll take it. I like that. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoy these videos, help us out and hit like and subscribe. Our whole reason for doing this is to reach out and help people. We really don't have a motive other than that. So anyways, have a great day. If you're thinking about getting into hunting, just start. Not start running out in the woods. Start by making one step in that direction. All right. Over and out.